Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, friends, family, and members of Summit One Credit Union. I guarantee that my Todd, someone, can you hear me? No, can't hear back there?
No. Can now.
Can now? Well, the can up here, is there some switch somewhere?
I think it's closer to the mic.
Right here?
Yeah.
Wow. Whoa. Whoa. I'm not going to be able to pay much attention to you while... anyway, I guarantee that my comments will be brief tonight. Someone timed me. I think it's only going to be about 5 minutes, so we'll get to the prizes fairly quickly. But first, and perhaps the most important point I want to make, and to reassure each of you, is that purely from an operational perspective, Summit One Credit Union actually made money during 2009. Not much, but at least it was positive. If you look on the, I should probably pull mine out, on the next to the bottom, or the first net income line, the red one, third up from the bottom, is where it reflects that compared to last year versus this. I'll just leave that till I can refer to it. Secondly, and perhaps more important, is that Summit One Credit Union was among the fastest growing credit unions in the state, at least in relative terms or percentage. Our total deposits grew 14% as more of our members either consolidated their assets from the stock market or other failing institutions in the state. Who would have thought that the oldest bank in the state, and certainly one of the newest, all but literally right next door to our main office, would have been shut down at this time last year. It doesn't get any closer to home than that. Neither one of them were liquidated very well by the FDIC, at least in my opinion. A few credit unions have failed in the state last year, and there will perhaps be a few more this year. But I want to say with the full conviction of my soul that Summit One Credit Union will not be one of them. Thank you. Someone, please. The board chairman, Todd's report in your handout refers to the reality TV show Survivor, which I personally don't watch, but just surviving these days feels like success, and we should be proud of that fact. Our net loss for the year 2009 is strictly from two sources, but both of those sources are for the same reason. The first is the write-down of what they call our capital in specific corporate credit unions, which are like Federal Reserve banks for banks. They're a liquidity source for us, as well as additional assessments from NCUA, our infamous regulators, for other corporates that we didn't invest in directly. The reason for these assessments and the capital write-downs is specifically due to the corporate's investments in the subprime collateral mortgage obligations, or CMOs, you may have heard that term, sold by Wall Street that at the time were the highest investment grade paper on the market, with the full knowledge and approval of the regulators who have maintained a full-time presence in each of these institutions for over the last decade. What you should be aware of relative to these corporates is that we as an industry of credit unions are collectively self-insuring each other. We may question that now, but no bank in the world would self-insure any other institution, let alone every other bank in the same industry. That is what we as credit unions do. Yet again, in spite of this great recession, no failed credit union has ever cost the American taxpayer 1 single cent. Banks certainly have never been able to say that, and they certainly cannot say that now. The assessment that you see on the financial report are guaranteed to continue for at least the next 3 years, and maybe longer, and they may be even bigger than they appear on this year's report. I know for a fact that at least as far as Summit One Credit Union is concerned, that the total anticipated losses projected that will be assessed by the regulator, if realized, will be more than our own total fraudulent real estate loan losses for the last 3 years combined. I believe that 90% of the entire industry, of the credit union industry, is in the same boat whether they show any net income or not. As a consequence of these past and future assessments, along with the continuing unemployment and overall economy, has significantly reduced our loan demand. Most of the transaction volumes at the credit union are now done electronically. And we unfortunately found ourselves in an overstaffed condition and had to implement, to my knowledge, the first ever, and I hope the last, reduction in force in our history. It's difficult enough to terminate someone for cause, and it's downright heartbreaking to have to do so to the very good people that we have always had and continue to have at the credit union. It's probably the toughest decision of my career. As a result, the rest of us have had to do a little more, and sometimes it feels like a lot more than usual. I just want you to personally know what a great staff that you have. They too realize the challenges that we face, and they each have challenges of their own, as we all do. But with great grace and willingness, they have all stepped up to the plate and are doing whatever is asked of them without complaint. We clean our own bathrooms, we mop the lobbies, we vacuum, we dust, we take out our own garbage, and we even shovel the sidewalks. This alone has saved the credit union thousands of dollars. Working with the fine people at Summit One and our board of directors has been and continues to be the highlight of my career. This has probably been a little bit longer than I anticipated, but in my efforts to at least try to look at the glass as half full as opposed to half empty, I want to end with the story of Mother Teresa that I read at our 2005 annual meeting. Perhaps you'll remember part of it. It's even more apropos today than it was then, and hope it provides more reasons for optimism as the economy continues to improve as it appears to be. This is quoting Mother Teresa. People are often unreasonable, illogical, or self-centered. Forgive them anyway. If you are successful, you will sure to make some false friends and some true enemies. Be successful anyway. If you are honest and frank, people may cheat you. Be honest and frank anyway. What you spend years building, someone could destroy overnight. Build anyway. If you find serenity and happiness, others may be jealous. Be happy anyway. The good you do today, people will often forget tomorrow. Be good anyway. Give the world the best you have, and it may never be good enough. Give the world the best you have got anyway. You see, in the final analysis, it's between you and God. It has never been between you and them anyway. Thank you very much.